Yeah, so basically, endometriosis is a condition where tissue that's similar to the endometrial tissue that grows in the lining of a woman's uterus ends up growing in other places where it shouldn't. So it can grow on places like your ovaries, your bowels, your bladder. It's even been found in farther away places in the body like your diaphragm, kidneys, appendix. It kind of can spread all over your body, and it causes a lot of pain. It causes a lot of fatigue. It causes things like digestive symptoms, bowel symptoms, bladder symptoms. People get nerve pain and things like that as well. So it causes a lot of discomfort and symptoms. Infertility is a very common thing with endometriosis too, which has been part of my journey. And
Gotcha.
looking back, I was first semi-diagnosed with endometriosis about 5 years ago, because you can't actually officially receive a diagnosis until you have a laparoscopic surgery, which I just did finally a few months ago. But prior to that, it was suspected based on ultrasound. So I'd been basically living my life assuming that that was the case, and working through my health and all of that with the understanding that I had endometriosis. But even prior to that, now knowing what I have learned along the way, I really had signs of it back even in my late teen years. Some women start getting symptoms even earlier than that, but for me, that was, when I look back in hindsight, that was really when I first started experiencing symptoms. And it's not uncommon, I should say, for women to have to wait like I did, 7 years, 10 years. For me, it was about 10 years from the first onset of symptoms before I actually received a diagnosis, or before anyone even mentioned that it was a possibility to me in a doctor's office. So
Wow.
really for a good chunk of my life now.
Wow. Okay. Well, speaking of that, that initial diagnosis, like what made your doctor suspect that, you even had endometriosis?
Yeah, well, been a little bit of an interesting journey there, and I think this is very common for women with this condition, is that I had been experiencing a lot of the symptoms I had mentioned, like period pain and bowel issues and fatigue and different things that I had never gone to the doctor for, because we just we just are kind of taught that those things are normal, right? It's normalized in our society, and especially amongst women. And so it had never really occurred to me to go try to get help for that and see a doctor. So I ended up actually going in to see a fertility specialist, was the reason I was at the doctor at all. My husband and I had been trying to conceive by that point in time for about a year. We hadn't had any success, so we decided to go see a fertility specialist. And she did an ultrasound on me, which was where she saw what's called an endometrioma on my ovary. Basically, it's a large cyst that grows on the ovary, and she was able to see that on ultrasound, which isn't the case for everybody, but in my case, she was able to see that. And that's really how this all started. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have ever even gone for help. So